Good morning. My name is Larry Rybacki. I am the president of Sigma Corporation, and this is part of the Larry at Large series, the podcast that we do on a fairly regular basis. Today, my guest is my new friend, Andrew Pacifico, who is the president of Fortaline Corporation.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
To get started here, I think I'd like everybody to get a chance to get to know Andrew. So, Andrew, I'd like to hear a little bit about your background because you kind of went a circuitous route to get into the water industry.
So I did, Larry. I got here as soon as I could, but it took me a while. So I actually started my career, of all places, on Wall Street. So I was an investment banking person in oil and gas and the energy side. So there's a little bit of water there in terms of natural resources, but that's where I started my career. And I had a lot of exposure to a lot of private equity firms and investments and from the Wall Street side of the house. And after a little bit in the investment banking side, I recognized I wanted to go work for a company, and I wanted to go work for an organization rather than being on the services side and kind of advising. And what ended up getting me to Fortaline is I joined Morsco Supply in 2012. And at the time, Advent International out of Boston was a private equity firm, bought Morsco, and that was kind of their major splash into the industry. At the time, I really didn't have any experience or exposure to the building products distribution channel, definitely not to the waterworks channel. But I took the opportunity and just to get more engaged in that side of the business, and I fell in love with it right away. So, at the time, Morsco was a $500 million company. We had a couple of waterworks branches, primarily plumbing, primarily HVAC, and we ended up growing from about 500 million to about 2 billion and change, really coast to coast. So we more than tripled our branch count. We made a number of acquisitions during that time. Me personally, I joined the firm to kind of the lead of the M&A side of the house, but I quickly transitioned to the operations side with the integration and everything. And ultimately it culminated in 2016, Larry, when Morsco bought Fortaline. And so that was the big waterworks acquisition in 2016. I was heavily involved in the integration, worked with the leadership there and getting them part of the Morsco team. So that's essentially how I ended up in the business, Larry, from the Wall Street side of the house.
You worked closely with Chip Hornsby?
Very closely with Chip. Chip hired me. So it was actually Chip's vision. So I sat down and interviewed with him in late 2011, and he shared the vision of what we're going to do, what he was planning to do with Morsco. The time was called Patriot Supply. They didn't even have Morsco as a name yet. And I just bought, hook, line, and sinker. I said, this guy knows what he's doing. This is a phenomenal vision. I really got to know the space as well. So yeah, he was my first interview back in 2011, and worked with him ever since.
Well, I'm a big Chip Hornsby fan. Even in his other life, when he was running Ferguson, Chip's one of a kind. He's very bright, and he's a fun guy too. He's just a good guy to know, and obviously that's a relationship your relationship with him will probably last forever.
Yeah, he's a mentor of mine. I credit a lot of my success to him, right? I don't have decades of experience. He's the one that was a big advocate of me. When I got involved in the integration side of these businesses, he really pushed me. He really pushed me to go further, get more involved as an operational leader. So I owe a lot of my success to him. So yeah, he's a mentor and a friend of mine, and a legend in the industry.
There's no question he's a legend in the industry.